What up, fam? I am Dr. DeLuna, and you are listening to Drop It Like It's Doc podcast. Today, we are going to talk about all the things that may be common. So you may think that they are normal. However, they are absolutely not signs of health. So my lovely humans, there are many things that we experience as a human population on a day-to-day scenario that we think are normal or healthy, and they are absolutely not. Truly, if you are not aware of how unhealthy the population of humans are in the United States of America, travel anywhere else in the world, and you will see that things that exist here really do not exist in other parts of the world. Those of you that have watched this podcast since the beginning, you know that I love you. You know that you are in my inner circle, but you also know that I believe that a lot of this is due to how toxic this world is. However, before we dive into a toxic wormhole of soup, we are going to talk about just some random things that you may experience, that your mom may experience, that your kid might experience, that your doctor may have even told you are normal, give you a little pill to make it go, shh, but it's not normal. Let's start with the little tumpkins, because you know I love the gut. I did a whole episode on reasons why you may be bloated and why it's not normal. But just in case you didn't watch that episode, we're gonna start with bloating because your tummy should not inflate like a little balloon. No, it should not. It should be flat. Outside of females that are menstruating, you really shouldn't have any bloat in your abdomen. You should wake up in the morning, you should see no distension, meaning your belly is moving outwards throughout the day. If that is happening, that usually means that there's something going on in your sweet little tumpkins. First and foremost, maybe because you're just not chewing. Maybe because you're eating a food that you don't like. Maybe because, you're low in a digestive enzyme. Maybe because you got a worm in there. Maybe because you got a whole colony of yeast just eating all the sugar that you feed it nonstop. However, your gut should be sexy all the time. You should be able to bust out of your house in a bikini at any time. If you cannot, know that no amount of over-the-counter medication is going to fix your sweet little tumalina. What you need to do is ask yourself what's going on, because something that is so common but is not normal is that you shit your pants. Truly, sharting. Do you shart? That's not normal. If my father is listening to this episode, if my brother is listening to this episode, if any of my crazy uncles from New Jersey are listening to this episode, know that you are all lactose intolerant and you just refuse to believe me. Because if you think that you're going to fart and then you shit your pants, know that that is because there's some severe inflammation going on in your gut. Something was not digested at all and is now coming out the other end, a little slipperoo, because your colon should be able to absorb all of the water from your stool so that things truly aren't just falling out of you. You should have pelvic floor control. So that could be a sign that truly you're probably lactose intolerant. And let me just pause and say that if you are someone that gets bubble guts or feels like you're gonna explode or have to rush to the bathroom or poop outside of a gas station because it's COVID and they won't let you in the bathroom, that was not me, by the way. That was someone very near and dear to my heart who I also hope is listening to this episode. Know that that's not normal. It is not normal. Your dog should not be able to hold in their pee or poop longer than you. You are a human. You are a human and you should be able to do that. Of course, if you just pushed a watermelon out of your body, aka gave birth, things are going to be a little weak down there. And yeah, you may on occasion have a little accidente, but overall, we should be able to have tone in those muscles and be able to control when you're going, when you're not. And if that's because you're eating a food that your body absolutely hates and is giving you all the signs that it hates it, for instance, you're getting nauseous, your tummy's going rumbly grumbles, you're bubbling, you're bloating, you're farting, that's a sign that that shit is not normal at all. Look where that just took us. That was just from me talking about being bloated to then someone sharting. But any end of that spectrum, not normal at all. Common though, yes? Yes. Let's talk about gas, okay? Gas, yes, of course, the human body does produce some gas, but if you are feeling like you need to hide to fart or feeling like you are burping nonstop, that is a sign that there's some type of fermentation going on inside of your body. Usually if you're burping, that's more of a sign of upper digestive issue, like the tummy. Even the liver and the gallbladder honestly can lead to some stuff more upper because your liver's just right here under your ribs, right next to your stomach. But anything lower, like colon, small intestine, that's going to be farting out the chute. So if you have not watched my What's in Your Guts episode, and if you're like, I thought all these things were normal, or you just thought you had IBS, know that IBS isn't even necessarily a diagnosis. It's just really what medical providers will say if we don't know why your gut's off. It must just be irritable. Must just be irritable. So we're going to give you that name. IBS, as far as I'm concerned, in my kind of lens of medicine, is common, but it's not normal. I was diagnosed with IBS growing up. You know what my IBS was? Lactose intolerant, gluten intolerance, and probably not chewing. Because if you're not chewing, nothing is going to work down that line at all. So anything gut related, if you're not pooping out a beautiful sausaggio, that's not normal. If you're seeing food in your stool, not normal. If you're pooping out a little, what you could call little deer poopsicles, not normal. You want a sausaggio. A lot of this stuff, if you're like, I thought all that stuff in my gut was normal, you have to watch What's in My Guts episode because all of that is covered. Weird colors to your poop. That's not normal. If your poop is gray or cardboard colored, that's usually a sign that something's going on with your liver. If your poop is black, and if you didn't just swallow some dirt or activated charcoal, that could be dried blood high up. If your poop has blood in it, that's usually lower down, like a hemorrhoid or something like that, or a fissure. Or you're on your period, right? Like that could very much be a thing. But if none of those things are the case, and if your poop is not a beautiful brown color, that shit might be common, but it's not normal. And you can live with gallbladder, liver imbalances that can make your poop kind of fluctuate in color from cardboard to yellow to green to brown. You want it to be brown, my friends. You do. So many things that go on down there, honestly. And I think that as a collective, we have severe gut inflammation in this country, and you may or may not have heard that all health begins in the gut. So if your gut is inflamed, that inflammation is going to go everywhere and can spill over into other symptoms. So let's talk about some systemic things that may be common, but are absolutely not normal. Eczema, common. Eczema is almost like leaky gut of the skin because we have a single layer of cells in our gut. And if that breaks down, big food particles that we should have broken down by masticating, like chewing with digestive enzymes, those big food particles will go into the bloodstream and circulate and cause all sorts of issues. So when that barrier breaks down in your skin, it could show up as rashes, itching, eczema. Eczema is really just an allergic reaction of the skin. It's where that barrier breaks down and where there's a lot of histamine, redness, itching. Your skin can even get a little bumpy like an elefante. That's usually a sign that there's something deeper going within. And even to take a step back, if you listening to this have gone to your doctor for something that is common, something that, your mom may have, your dad may have, your girlfriend may have, and then they just give you a blanket, like a steroid or a topical cream, or say that you have to do this, fill in the blank for the rest of your life, that means that there is something underneath it that has not been discovered. Because again, we live in a sick world. So a lot of people have these types of signs and symptoms, but it does not mean that it is a sign of health. Common does not equal healthy. And I'm going to tell you that over and over and over and over again. So something else that can show up on the skin that is super common, but it's not healthy, is dandruff. Dandruff is a sign of lymphatic buildup in your body. Lymph is the way that our cells drain their toxins. We have a lymphatic system that runs along all of our blood vessels, and that can become backed up. So that can cause swelling, lymphedema. If you've ever had swelling in your lower extremities, if you've ever looked at your tongue and if your tongue looks puffy, if you've ever had tonsil stones, if you've ever had enlarged lymph nodes, that's a sign that your lymphatic system is backed up. And yes, those things can be common because of how toxic this world is, but they are not in signs of health. So if you ever look in the back of your throat and see a little rock back there, that's a tonsil stone. And if you pick it out of there, because if you're like me, you might like picking stuff off your body. I don't know. It's kind of fun. And if you pick that out of there, and if it's a little rock, and if it stinks, that's a tonsil stone. And that is a sign of significant backup in your lymphatic system. So that could be low-grade toxic exposures. That could be infections. Truly, sometimes I talk and I just think about 500 things at once. And now that we're in the back of the throat, we're going to continue in the back of the throat, because that lymphatic buildup that's coming out of the head as dandruff or building up as stones in the back of the throat could be because you have a chronic infection. So if you are someone that gets cyclical sore throats, or someone that gets cyclical, patterns of illness, of feeling like things are off, that it's hard to swallow, like you're almost getting sick, but don't get sick, You could have a chronic infection. I can't even tell you how many people that I test for different chronic infections that have severe fatigue and something like a sore throat that have chronic mono or that have chronic strep or fill in the blank of a fun little organism that takes hold in your body. And if you have swollen lymph nodes, that's a sign that there is something living within you. It could be anywhere in your body. It could be in the groin. It could be behind the ears. It could be in your throat. Could be anywhere, but your immune system is active in that sense. So if you go to your doctor, they'll probably do an ultrasound of a swollen lymph node. And if they can't find an answer, you need to dig deeper because again, that is not a sign of health. That is a sign that your body is doing something to bring you into balance. And we need to find out what that is. And if your doctor's not curious enough, there's plenty of them that are, yes. So I spoke to lymph nodes that are swollen in the throat, but what about lymph nodes that are swollen in the pelvis? That can happen all the time. So we have inguinal lymph nodes that kind of run along the bikini line, and those lymph nodes can get swollen from any type of imbalance in that pelvic area. So you know what else that we are told is common or normal or healthy that really is a sign of severe imbalance in the body? Chronic yeast infections. I cannot even tell you how many ladies I know that get chronic yeast infections, chronic UTIs. Their doctor just tells them, oh, take an antibiotic after you have sex. And then what does that do? That gives you a yeast infection. And then what do you have to do? Play the game of getting monostat to the antibiotic back and forth and back and forth. That is not normal. That is usually a sign of a microbial imbalance, which is something that you definitely want to work on. But more often than not, that chronic infections piece of yeast, whether it's in your vagina, whether it's on your skin, whether it's on your itchy little scalpola, that is usually a sign of blood sugar imbalances. Because if your blood sugar spikes, you're going to feed all these organisms that like to eat sugar. And you know what really likes sugar? Yeast. You know what else really likes sugar? Parasites. You know what else really likes honey? Bears. Just want to throw that out there. Just wanted to throw that out there. Bears are really cute. So now that we're on the pelvis, let's talk about some other stuff that you may have been told is normal. Do you flow so heavily that you bleed through clothing? Common, not normal. That could be a sign of a vitamin A deficiency because if your vitamin A is low, your body is going to have a difficult time keeping all that blood in your beautiful body. Do you have massive clots in your blood? That's a sign that you have significant inflammation and that your uterine lining is passing and clearing and sloughing at a fast rate, that clots are forming. Do you have dark blood? That's a sign of a hormone imbalance. Truly, my friends, I'm not trying to just list all of this off just to give you fun facts. I'm trying to inspire you that things that you have been living with your entire beautiful existence on this planet. You may have been told this is just something that you get to deal with. No part of your life should derail you. No part of your body should derail you. And that is your body's way of trying to tickle your little brain to peel back a layer so that you can see what might be impacting your day-to-day health, your day-to-day reality. Your sweet little body is always talking to you. Continuing on the reproductive system and some of the lymphatic stuff, if your boobs, know that as women, we're lucky in that our boobs change size. Isn't that wonderful? There's going to be certain times of the month where you're like, damn, they're juicy. There's going to be some times of the month that they're not. However, that is common, that is normal, but what is not healthy is when they hurt. When they hurt so bad that going down the stairs makes you jolt in pain. That's usually a sign of estrogen dominance. Estrogen dominance happens when you have too much estrogen in relationship to progesterone. Estrogen makes all hormone symptoms really loud. It's what gives you heavy, painful periods, swollen, tender breasts, PMS that makes you want to kill everyone around you. That is estrogen dominance. And again, every symptom that I just listed are things that maybe your gynecologist has been like, welcome to womanhood, baby girl. Just get used to that. None of those are signs of healthy. They are just signs of common. Other things. Look at this brain, just listing off things that people come to me all the time being like, yeah, but that's normal. That's normal. Do you have stinky breaths? Do you have stinky breaths? Of course, that could be an infection in your mouth. It could be from oral hygiene. It could be from smoking. It could be from a tooth that is infected. It could be from a root canal that has now gone really stanky, or it could be from your stomach because your mouth is the first window for the most part into your gut. And the microbiome in your gut is in your mouth as well. So if you have something going on in your stomach, something like H. pylori, or if you just have some type of microbial overgrowth in your stomach, it could start to trickle up and you could smell it in your mouth. The smell of your breath can even tell you a little bit about the microbial imbalance that you have going on within you. Speaking of that, just other fun fact, if your breath ever smells like alcohol and if you didn't drink, or if it smells fruity and if you didn't just have some juice, you might have diabetes. So you want to check that out. You really do. You really, 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 really do. And speaking of the good old beaties, something that is across the board common in this country that is absolutely not healthy is if you feel like you're going to pass out after you eat. This is not hunger. This is not what happens to me. If I take too long to eat, I'll get shaky, I'll get irritable, I'll get lightheaded. That's also not healthy. That is hypoglycemia, hanger monster, feed someone a leg of lamb, okay? But on the opposite end of the spectrum, if you eat something and then get tired, that's usually a sign that your blood sugar just spiked. And we don't like blood sugar spikes because that is the start of insulin resistance, which is the start of type 2 diabetes, which we definitely don't want diabetes. We definitely want healthy metabolic balance because nothing in your body can function without energy. And that's what insulin does. It helps energy get into the cell to be made. And if you are getting exhausted after you eat, you know how we were told that eating turkey will make you tired on Thanksgiving? That's bullshit. That's insulin resistance. That's just because you ate a whole fucking pie and stuffing before you ate like a green bean. And now you're in full-blown insulin resistance. But some people have that every day. They go for their lunch at work and then they have to take a nap in their car or something of that nature. And truly, when that happens, when your blood sugar spikes, there's so much sugar in your blood that can stick to things and make things have a sugar glycation. That's what the chemical process is, where sugar sticks to a protein. That makes things very loud, very inflammatory in the body. So inflammation just happens when blood is moving to different pockets of the body and is creating an alarm signal. So inflammation in a controlled manner is something that is healthy. We need it. We need it to heal, repair tissue, to organize energy, to shift the internal world. But if it goes uncontrolled, that is not healthy. And again, that is common, but it's not normal. Things like chronic pain. How many of you know people with chronic pain? You might be in chronic pain. It's not healthy. And of course, things like injury, things like trauma, things that we cannot control, they settle into our physical body, right? But if you have something that is loud on a daily basis, something that is screaming at you, something that is pulling your energy, that's usually a sign that you have a higher level of inflammation, making all of that loud. So I wouldn't consider chronic pain as healthy. I just wouldn't. I wouldn't consider anything that you have to take a medication for every single day healthy unless it is serving a purpose. You know, you're missing a gland and you need to replace it, or it's helping you function in a certain way. But ultimately, I trust that the body is always talking to us and that it always has what it needs. And if it doesn't, it's going to get loud. It's going to start to, first it's going to start with a little tickle. Then it's going to start with like a little giggle. Then it's going to start screaming at you. And if you don't listen to the scream, that's when you get into slippery territory where you may need to take something every day to fill in for a function that your body may or may not have any longer. I could go on for hours about things that are common, that are not healthy or normal, like migraines, headaches, not normal at all. And how many people live with migraine headaches? When I was on birth control, just fun fact, I would get a migraine all the time. And also, fun fact, my sweet baby angels, if you were on birth control and if you get migraines, you are actually not supposed to be on birth control. That is actually on the black box warning of that pill because you're at an increased risk for a stroke. So if you are someone that gets migraines often, know that there is usually an underlying cause for that. For me, it was birth control. For you, it might be because you have low progesterone. For someone else, it might be because they have a blood sugar imbalance. It could be a different hormone imbalance. It could be a toxic exposure. It could be mold. It could be any of these things. So you need to peel back that layer and take a little look, skins, because your body shouldn't feel like it's going to explode all the time. Common, not normal. Why in this country do we accept things that are painful and things that cause suffering to be acceptable? Because it's almost like we like it or something. We shouldn't like it. We should like feeling good, but that takes effort, right? That takes effort to listen, to shift, to do different lifestyle things that can change that internal world. Other things that are common, but are not healthy, that are not normal. Do you have brittle nails or brittle hair? If you live in San Diego, yes, we can blame some of it on the beautiful water that we shower in. However, your hair and your nails, they're a reflection of your nutrition. So if your hair is brittle or if your nails are weak, that's usually a sign of protein or mineral imbalance. And that's something that you should look into. It could also be due to a thyroid imbalance. Talking about thyroid, are you fucking exhausted? Friends, I love coffee. I love coffee so much. Those of you that know me know that I also think it's pretty cool to put it up your butt for what it does to your body. However, if you are exhausted, know that it may be because your life is shutting you down and that you need to do something, right? But if you are exhausted in a way that doesn't make sense to you, you need to find out why. You could have anemia. You could have blood sugar issues. You could have a hormone imbalance. You could have an issue with your thyroid. You could be pregnant. You could be living in a toxic home. You could be sick. You could have mono. You could have anything, really. Do you see what I'm doing here? All of these things that by modern society, we have been told, you just get to live with this. Welcome to adulthood. My mom told me that. When I told her I was tired, she's like, good luck to you. You'll never not be tired again. I refuse. I refuse to believe that is true. I don't want to be tired forever. Please, no. I'm doing good though. I didn't drink enough caffeine today though, but I'm still doing pretty good. Still doing pretty good. My friends, there are an incredible amount of you that have been told that something that you are experiencing on a day-to-day basis is something that you will need to live with for the rest of your life. And as you can tell from this little brain ramble, this little brain unraveling of sorts, is that there are at least 5 explanations for every common symptom. And just because as a population in this country, we are not doing the best, it doesn't mean that that has to be our standard. It does not mean that we have to exist in a way that is suboptimal, because when we feel healthy, when we feel in aligned, that's when we can show up for our purpose. So when we can show up for our life in the way that we're supposed to. So I hope that this episode inspired you to dig a little bit deeper and to talk to your lactose intolerant uncle and tell him that maybe you shouldn't drink milk with every meal and then chart, because that is not normal. It might be common, might be part of your family's jokes now, but it is not healthy, okay? So please share this episode with someone that you think would benefit from it. If you have something that you've been told is common or healthy, please drop it in the comments below so that I can send you a little silly message as to why that is not the case. And as always, thank you for being a part of this journey. Thank you for learning with me. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you for laughing. And thanks for watching. I love you so much, and I will see you very soon. Mwah.